Under the sinking weight of a copper sky, the town of Dry Creek held its breath. Dust lifted from the wagon ruts, curling in slow spirals like ghosts reluctant to leave the earth. The saloon doors creaked in rhythm with the fading daylight, and somewhere down the street a church bell tolled once, then went silent. It was the kind of evening when a man could hear the thump of his own heart echoing louder than boots on timber, the kind of evening when loneliness sat heavy on the shoulders. Elias Boone walked that road as he often did, hat low over his brow, coat brushed by the restless wind. He was a man whose silence was his closest companion, whose ranch lay empty save for the whinny of horses and the groan of rafters in the night. His eyes, gray as stone, had once known light, but grief had made them watchful, wary, like a wolf grown tired of hunting. He had long ago buried his laughter with his wife and unborn child. The cradle had burned in the yard, and the ashes never left his hands. It was then that he heard a voice, high and trembling, breaking the stillness like a sparrow trapped in a storm. "Can you buy us, mister?" He stopped. There she stood, a girl no more than 9, barefoot, her hair tangled with dust, holding a bundled baby close against her small frame. Her eyes were wide, not with innocence, but with hunger, and her words cut through him like a knife still glowing from a forge. Behind her, half in shadow, stood a woman. She was thin, her shoulders stooped as if bearing stones no one else could see. Her dress hung loose against her body, her hands trembling as she tried to hush the child. The girl, Maybelle, looked up at him with a strange hope. The baby stirred in her arms, giving a frail whimper that rode the wind into Elias's chest. "Buy us." Elias muttered, the words foreign, bitter in his mouth. The woman, Rosemary Hale, lifted her chin though shame colored her cheeks. "She doesn't understand what she says. Please forgive her. She only repeats what she hears." From the porches and windows, eyes leaned closer. Whispers slithered through the air. "There goes the widow and her brats, selling themselves like cattle." A man on the corner spat into the dirt. Another chuckled under his breath. Town gossip was quick, sharper than any knife. Rosemary pressed her daughter closer. "We've been turned away from every door. I beg you don't think her cheap." Folks said words she caught hold of, cruel words. Her voice broke, and she swallowed hard. "We're not for sale. Only tired of hunger." Elias felt the old ache stir, the one he had spent years drowning in whiskey and silence. He saw in Maybelle's face the ghost of a child who never drew breath, saw in Rosemary's eyes the same despair that once swallowed his own. For a moment, he nearly reached out. But the weight of his own ruin pulled him back. "I can't," he said, voice rough as gravel. "I've nothing for you." He turned, boots grinding against dust, and walked away. Behind him, the baby's cry rose, raw and thin, twisting itself around his ribs until it hurt to breathe. That night, back at his ranch, Elias sat in the dark. The wind pushed against the windows. The fire gave no warmth. He poured whiskey but left it untouched, staring instead at the empty chair across the table. In town, words had already spread. Old Boone couldn't save his own family. Why would he take in strays? Their laughter rode the wind to him, and behind it came memory. His wife's scream in the dark, the stillness that followed, the cradle set ablaze beneath a sky that watched without mercy. He told himself he had done right. He told himself he was no savior. But the sound of that baby crying would not leave him, not even in sleep. Days later, Elias rode out beyond the town, and by the river's bend he found them. Rosemary sat on the cold earth, her back against a stone, Maybelle beside her, the baby restless in her arms. Their fire was ash, their faces pale. They looked like figures carved from the dust itself, ready to blow away with the wind. Elias said nothing. He only dismounted, set down a sack of food, and rode off without meeting their eyes. That night, in their hunger, they ate. The next evening, he returned, leaving blankets this time. Again, no words, only the sound of hooves fading into the dusk. Yet when he woke the following morning, he found a small token on his saddle horn, wildflowers tied with string. Later, a mended tear in his shirt folded neatly at his gate. It was Rosemary's way of speaking without speaking, of showing gratitude without bending pride. So began their silent exchange. He gave bread, they gave blossoms. He left firewood, she left stitches in his worn coat. These quiet acts built something fragile between them, like a bridge spun of spider silk, delicate but stronger than it seemed. One evening, Elias lingered longer than he meant to. Maybelle sat on the riverbank, trying to catch fish with a crooked stick. He knelt beside her, showed her how to carve a sharper point, how to move with patience. The child beamed, and for the first time in years, he felt warmth unfurl in his chest. That night, as the fire burned low, he heard Rosemary humming a lullaby. The tune carried through the still air, soft as prayer. He sat listening from his horse, hidden in shadow, until the song ended and silence pressed close again. In those days, they did not speak much, yet their silence grew rich with meaning. When Rosemary struggled to lift a bucket from the river, Elias took the weight without being asked. When he came upon them shivering, she shared half her blanket across his shoulders. Their eyes would meet, linger, then fall away, but each glance said what words dared not. Then came the storm. The sky turned black with rage, rain striking the earth like fists. In town, the saloons swelled with men bitter from drink, their talk louder, meaner. Some cursed the widow for bringing shame to their streets, for daring to linger where she wasn't wanted. A few muttered that she ought to be driven out before she dragged others down with her. Elias walked in, rain dripping from his hat brim, the floorboards groaning beneath his weight. The laughter faltered, then rose sharper. "Boone," a voice sneered. "Come to claim what the widow offers? Didn't think you had it in you." The room erupted with cruel chuckles. Elias stood still, his hand resting on the rough wood of the table. His voice, when it came, was low but steady. "They stay with me." The words silenced the room. Rain hammered the roof, but no one spoke. His eyes, gray and unyielding, dared them to challenge. None did. For the first time since loss hollowed him out, Elias Boone chose to stand against the world, to gather life into arms that had only known emptiness. When he stepped outside, Rosemary was there, soaked, her hair plastered to her face, Maybelle clutching her hand. She did not thank him. She did not need to. The steadiness of her gaze, the tears glistening though the rain already fell, said everything. Elias tipped his hat, and for once, the weight did not crush him. The wind shifted that night, and the air smelled of beginnings rather than endings. And so, my friend, remember this. Sometimes what we think is gone forever waits to return in the faces of strangers. Not bought, not bargained for, but given freely, love, dignity, family. Out here in the dust and the storm, there is no treasure greater, no wealth deeper, than the ones who stand beside you when the world would rather see you fall.